You know what? I'm disappointed in myself. Let's do that whole thing again. But I'm gonna be faster this time because I'm really not used to streaming to YouTube at all. You can probably tell. First of all, SCP 560s and 70s, they're not here because I did stream them, I did read them, but I forgot to put the audio track back on normal, so my voice was cut out. So it was just two streams of 2 hours of pure silence, of just me moving my lips and nobody hearing anything, and I didn't get any feedback that is saying like, hey, we can't hear you. So they're still on my channel, but I put them on private. I wonder if I'm probably going to delete them. It happens. And now I'm not going to stream tomorrow because the D&D session from yesterday got moved to Sunday. I'm also going to Comic-Con tomorrow, so I'm just going to be tired, and then I'm going to be busy because D&D will happen exactly at the time I usually would stream SCP time. So SCP reading. Now, without further ado, it's finally. Oh my god, everything. I'm falling apart. So this one, oh my god, this has such a complicated name. Shi Huang T's 5 Heaven Chariot. Used to be Kita, but due to some documentation, it got changed to Euclid, and that's where I realized I'm not live. So, due to the nature of SCP-580 and the environment that it is normally found in, the following protocols are to be observed at all times of contact. Note that this document covers both the item itself, hereafter referred to as SCP-580-1, and the crew found inside SCP-580-2. At least one Foundation agent who is fluent in Mandarin and is of obvious Chinese descent must be present. During an emergency, the former requirement is of higher priority. For the purpose of this document, this person shall be referred to as contact leader. All communication occurring between the Foundation team and SCP-580-2 must go through the contact leader, as -2 will not respond to any other interaction. Communication must be kept at I'm not sure why I'm doing this, as if I'm like spit talking. You gotta do that, okay? You gotta have a contact leader, bro. He needs to be fluent in Mandarin and be from obvious Chinese descent, brother. If not, you done fucked up. Okay. Communication must be kept at a non-hostile level. No aggression must be displayed by the contact team at any time. The contact leader must state the team's current mission and agenda as truthfully as possible. I just realized that I'm not even sharing this to anybody. Nobody knows that I'm doing this. I'm too pissed off on what happened to the last stream, so I'm just going I don't care. I just want to read. The team must apologize for interfering with. Wait, hold on. The contact leader must state the team's current mission and agendas as truthfully as possible, both conscious and unconscious, in example body language stress indicators. The team must apologize for interfering with military operational and imperial territory and state that they are leaving immediately. If in doubt, the contact leader may ask for directions to the nearest neutral area from any member of SCP-580-2's group, preferably the one that they interacted with the most. Care must be taken that the team give the impression that they are leaving immediately. Further contact with SCP-580 within a 24-hour period from a departure is not recommended due to prior hostile behavior at such actions. Should hostilities commence, the Foundation team is to leave the area immediately and attempt evasive maneuvers. Re-entry into Earth's atmosphere is permitted as a last resort should it be necessary. Interaction with SCP-580 is to be strictly logged and forwarded to Dr. Kamen as soon as possible for analysis. Priority is to be given to any deviation in the protocols listed therein and the results thereof, should any present itself. Description: SCP-580-1 is a silk and wood zeppelin ostensibly constructed during the... What is an ostensibly? Is that how you say it? What is that? As appears or is said to be true, though not necessarily so. What? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Constructed during the reign of Shi Huang Ti in China. Okay. Aha, okay. The flight component has a dragon and a phoenix painted in bright green, silver, and gold on its side, while the deck seems to be made out of an unidentified hardwood. The deck itself has no visible weapons, although 8 cannon slots have been identified on both sides. Dash 1 seems to have taken no damage from either weapons or environmental hazards present in space, although it does show the standard wear and tear that can be found if such a craft were present in atmospheric conditions. There seems to be no visible means of propulsion from the outside of the ship. Records unearthed in archaeological dig sites blank and blank have failed to provide any clues regarding this matter. SCP-580 can be found once one passes the moon. Previous encounters, see data file blank, show that the crew of Dash 1 consider the moon as the boundary of Imperial territory and do not venture past a point towards Earth. So far, rough calculations show that the one may encounter SCP-580 in the area between the moon and the sun. Based on anecdotal evidence, it appears that SCP-580 was commissioned to journey to the sun under the order of Shi Huangti. Whether it was for a military expedition or a petitioner's journey remains unclear so far. Can you imagine that you look up and you just see this like pill-shaped aircraft coming from the moon? You're like, especially from like a way back area, you're like, how? Just looking up like, did that just come from the moon? Okay, records retrieved. Why would this be considered keto? Records retrieved from the dig site show incomplete plans for Dash 1. Some pages and notes are missing, apparently from fire or natural causes. However, these plans show that there are compartments in Dash 1 that are unrelated to sailing or cargo transport. The notes on these sections indicate some kind of necromantic purpose intended for it, though details are currently unclear. Dash 1 is crewed with approximately 40 terracotta warriors similar to those found in Shi Huangti's tomb and the Terracotta Army of Lore. Each one is a mechanical golem that has shown skill with various ancient Chinese martial arts weapons and unarmed combat. They are armed with the standard weaponry for soldiers for the original time period: short sword, spear, and repeating crossbows. They do not communicate unless spoken to and refuse to attack unless they are provoked first. In addition, they have shown skill at seamanship and minor maintenance functions for SCP-580-1. Present among the crew are 4 officer warriors who seem to lead the crew in determined interaction with outside parties. It is currently unclear which one of the 4 is the leader, as they are all identical in appearance. And then addendum. Reference documents blank and blank, as well as data file blank, are currently awaiting declassification pending approval from Dr. Kamen. I guess it was Kita because, you know, it just pops up, right? The Zeppelin just, once there's a moon. Because it says here SCP-580 can be found once one passes the moon. Yeah. So you have to have a trigger. And once you see it, you're like, oh, And I guess it was Kita because there's a whole army. And of course, if somebody walks in that doesn't speak Mandarin, he might accidentally piss off the soldiers and slice and dice, and then he's dead. And that's, of course, a massive problem. That is a massive problem to have. So I can see why they thought it was Kita, because it just pops up. It has an army of 40 terracotta people, and they're probably like well trained. And you don't want to risk somebody getting attacked by this. But yeah, it looks like it's considered Euclid because I assume they found ways to track it down, and found out that it's not as dangerous. It is still dangerous. It's still dangerous. Don't get me wrong, but they probably figured out it wasn't as dangerous as they thought originally. Next one is called the Equestrian Soul. Oh, this is short. Safe. Special containment procedures. Except for approved testing, SCP-581 must be kept a minimum of 1,000 meters from all members of all equine species. SB581 is to be kept in locked, climate-controlled facilities. No firearms are allowed in proximity to any examples of -2. Okay. Okay. You have my interest, SB581. SB581 is a horse nose bag made from leather. I did not expect this. When it was like saying like, oh, you have to keep it away from anything for 1,000 meters, I expected it to be something like really messed up. I did not expect a horse's nose bag made from leather. Any equine subject, horses, mules, and donkeys have all been confirmed to be susceptible. Zebras, onagas? What does that look like? I never heard this one before. Okay. The wild ass. Okay, never knew. And other non-domesticated hybrids have not been tested due to budgetary reasons. Within 500 meters is potentially an instance of -1. -1's sole motivation appears to be inserting its muscle within SB581. I gotta stick my nose into it. The urge. This is strong enough to override instinctual reactions to predator urine or females in heat, and has caused instances of -1 to harm themselves in the process of attempting to free SB581 from within steel safes. Only one instance of -1 is known to exist at any time. Examples of -1 will actively resist being removed from SB581's range of effect, and will sicken and 90% die within a week of SB581 being forcibly removed. If -1 succeeds in inserting its muscle within SB581, it will become an example of -2. -2 is an equine characterized I might be misunderstanding this word in my head, you know. Relating to or affecting horses or other members of the horse family. A horse or other member. Okay, so okay. That's why it's called the equestrian soul, I guess. Because that has to do something. Wait. -2 is an equine characterized by several anomalous behaviors. These behaviors seem to indicate that -2 believes itself to be a human. Observed anomalous human-like behaviors include attempts to walk on its hind legs, attempts to attack its head with its front hooves. Attempts to attack its head with its front hooves. Attempts to enter the driver's seat of unoccupied vehicles. Fascination by and then hostility towards reflective surfaces. Attempts to clasp firearms with its front hooves. Extended periods of aberrant modulated vocalization. Those are believed to be -2's attempt to speak. Are the recordings available in archive 581 H19 that are expunged. To date, all specimens of -2 have been euthanized due to multiple limb fractures. No specimen has survived longer than 2 hours. Okay. Oh, that. Yes. It's just like this horse was like.
Oh. No. You really adopted the dog, Batman.
He just becomes Bane.
I was born in it, molded by it.
And you're like, okay. But you're a horse.
It do not matter what I am. It do matter what I will do.
I like this one. I like this one a lot. Okay, next one is a bundle of stories. And I can already see that it. Okay, here we go. It's another keter. Well, I mean, okay, this first one was technically keter, but then became Euclid. And to be honest, Euclid fits more to what the other one was anyway. Due to the high risk of meme tick spread, all information and materials pertaining to the specifics of SCP-582 Delta's containment narrative, manifestations, abilities, and history that has been... wait, hold on, I need to check something. will tell you soon. I'm currently streaming, but I can already say paranoid tinker. Yes, sorry, excuse me about that. Been judged conducive to perpetuations of the meme are to be handled solely by special intelligence team Bump in the Night. Security Chief Special Order 817-2 blank blank blank. Access to secure archive 582 by outside personnel is permitted only by 2/3 majority or 5 permission. All major internet search engines are to be monitored for any references to SCP-582. I mean, they already fucked up. It's right here in front of us. Under any of its known names, copies of all media relating to SCP-582 are to be stored in Secure Archive 582. The original sources of these materials and all records regarding the individuals responsible for the creation of such are to be expunged as outlined in Document 582-RP. Description: SCP-582 is an adaptive, self-propagating meme in the form of an entity most often referred to as blank. SCP-582's primary ability is passive reality modification. Passive, you say? Any fictional account written about SCP-582 will become a factual record of a manifestation of the entity, in which SCP-582 will carry out all actions attributed to it in the narrative. This manifestation will happen at whatever time and place is specified. If no specific location or time is given, the manifestation will occur at any opportunity that will meet the narrative's criteria. So if you write something down like SCP is a 200-meter tall monstrosity, it will just do that. Is that what I'm getting at here? Details attributed to SCP-582 are permanent and cumulative. If a narrative contains permanent. Oh boy. Okay, so you have to be extremely careful what is written down, because that stays. If a narrative contains description that contradict previously established details, it will either have no effect at all upon SCP-582, or the effect will be lessened to a point where such events could logically occur. Though this effect, SCP-582 has a consistent, if generalized, portrayal due to its use in works by multiple authors both before and after its discovery by the Foundation. SCP-582's actual abilities within narrative are generally nebulous and lacking in detail. The most common format of story involves the aftermath of a manifestation of SCP-582, or a short-lived encounter of SCP-582 rather than an explanation or justification of the events. What is known is that SCP-582 regularly appears capable of appearing or disappearing at any place or time, and that no method of terminating or otherwise harming SCP-582 within any narrative has been successful. That's bad. That does sound extremely bad. Okay. Security mimetic rhinos sometimes forget. The origin of SCP-582 may be traced to blank blank, an obscure American author active during the 1940s and 50s. The original works containing SCP-582 were never published, but were discovered by several close friends and fellow amateur writers, namely blank blank, blank blank, and blank blank, upon the author's death in 1953-7. What the fuck? Who then served as the original infection factor. Blank Blank was considered an overall subpar author, having only published 4 short stories in his life, all within now defunct Blank Blank magazine. In addition, he was often criticized for lifting the style of Howard P. Lovecraft considerably, as stands backed up by his personal journals, which detailed an obsession with Lovecraft's writings and the author himself. Furthermore, several earlier entries imply that the SCP-582 was formed recursively, in that the author wrote a narrative detailing his own encounter of SCP-582 decades prior, believed to be either Document-14 or Document-15, which then led him to write the first narratives featuring SCP-582. Okay, so that's the first one. Addendum 2, Security Lunatic, The Harvest Moon Roars. SB582's portrayal as a godlike entity has led to a collection of commonly featured avatars. SB582's actual form, if extant, has yet to be featured in any narrative. A list of notable manifestations of SB582 as follows. Manifestation Alpha. The most common instance of SCP-582 being a humanoid creature standing approximately 2 meters tall and wearing thickly layered robes often compared to burlap. The figure is hooded and no face is visible underneath. Common additional details include carrying sacks or bundles of unknown content or the appearance of heavily bleeding. Manifestation Alpha is the least dangerous of SCP-582's manifestation, with death occurring in only 23% of instances. That's still almost a quarter. That is still a lot. That means every fourth person might die to this thing. Manifestation Beta. A hexapedal entity appearing to be made out of molten tar. Manifestation Beta will attempt to attack any nearby humans unprotected by certain preventative measures detailed in document 34. Manifestation Beta has on 5 occasions appeared at the same time as Manifestation Alpha, seemingly using Manifestation Alpha as a host or disguise. Manifestation Gamma. Ow. Okay. Excuse me, Manifestation Gamma. A manifestation appearing as a 100-meter wide plant-like entity giving off an intense white light and substantial radiation. The strength of the radiation is unmeasured. Kind of makes sense why it's called Gamma then. The strength of the radiation is unmeasured, but it is enough to be fatal to humans within 6 to 10 hours. Manifestation Gamma does not appear to take notice of any outside stimuli and has on one occasion been observed growing out of or feeding off Manifestation Beta. Okay, interesting. Manifestation Beta is just like, and then plants just like. Manifestation Delta. The manifestation in containment within the Foundation appearing as a poorly defined humanoid shadow. Due to the nature of this containment narrative, Manifestation Delta is incapable of exiting its containment model or interacting with personnel. Manifestation Epsilon. Revised blank 2005. Manifestation Epsilon is considered no longer canon after the events of Manifestation Event 201. Further information may be found in documents 582-201B. Manifestation Setter. Manifestation Setter exists within more than 3 dimensions, making it impossible to properly perceive by humans. Manifestation Setter has only been encountered once. Manifestation Events 256 blank 2010, resulting in 358 deaths and a localized restructuring event. And now we have Manifestation Setter Prime. The post-metamorphosis form of Manifestation Setter. The account involving Manifestation Setter Prime was interrupted with narrative by Foundation personnel. Any further instances of Manifestation Setter Prime are to be considered a continuation of XK Scenario 582-6B, Protocol 582-XK1. Journal and the Whale is to be initiated immediately. And now the last part. In accordance with Security Chief Special Orders 945. Am I bleeding? No. A segment of SCP-582's containment narrative has been included for illustrative purposes. What thoughts, if any, that flow through that alien mind are not mine to know. It remains silent still within its chamber, entrenched in the persistence of its own memory. It remains but only as a shade of what it was, its power spent or at least come to the rest. All personnel, please note SCP-582 is a reaction. It has shown no signs of actual consciousness or free will. Everything it has ever said, done, or thought is because someone wrote that it would. This is dangerous, man. It's like taking the Death Note, but making it the reality note. Anything I write in this thing will become real. I do wish we had about a couple more examples of what some of the stories are that happened or that were written down in that in SCP-582, but I guess the idea that like it could be anything, and it's keto, right? It's dangerous, and we already got a couple of examples now of things it can spawn. So that already shows you like, oh, yeah, and especially because the author had was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, which is a bit of a risk, a bit of a dangerous move to know that this SCP just makes everything reality, and you take H.P. Lovecraft. It would have been worse if you took Stephen King and you made fucking Pennywise and Jack Nichols, not Jack Nicholson, but Jack Torres. All those like famous like Stephen King characters real. Ooh, that would have been okay. What is this one? This one is called Deathly Videotape. Just gotta double check all the time. I'm sorry about that, guys. Euclid. Man, we have some good ratings here, huh? Like, especially even the first one was like pretty high for like I would say anything above 100 is pretty good. Of course, if you have 1,000, that is nice. That's nice. Definitely videotapes. SCP-583 is to be locked in a heavy-duty chrome steel safe. Any level 3 or higher personnel have access to the safe. A lethal security system is to be kept operative in the containment room for SCP-583 at all times. SCP-583 is fragile and must not approach or be approached by any magnetic field generating material or device. SCP-583 is only as sturdy as a standard videotape and is to be handled with extreme care. SCP-583 must not be destroyed due to continued research into data expunged. It's just a ring. It's the ring tape. I mean, that's a definitely videotape if you think about it. You watch it, and in the original 2 days, but in the everybody knows that 7 days later, you dead. You know. So that's technically it. SCP-583 is a Sony Color Collection, 60 to 90 minute mini DV videotape. Its case composed primarily of transparent green plastic. Details of the contents of the tape itself as described by test subject. I guess that's 1 minute. That's 0 minutes, and nothing on the tape for the first 12 seconds. Yeah, okay, that's seconds. 12 seconds playback of a recording of the Sesame Street Live begins, although with no sound. A data stamp of redacted is visible. 2 minutes 58 seconds. Starts choking, tries to get out of his costume. 3 minutes 12 seconds, dies from apparent asphyxiation. During the next 19 seconds, 3 other characters redacted start choking and die in the same way. 3 minutes 31 seconds, recording stops, the rest of the tape is blank. Subject who watched SCP-583 recording suffer from a unique perception disorder. After seeing redacted die of asphyxiation, subjects witnessed the similar death of every character, fictional or not, that they see on TV or in a movie, hear on the radio, or read about, whether printed or in electronic format. This condition appears to be permanent, ending only with the death of the subject. Consult document 583-T1 for further information. Well, here we go. The further information comes right now. Recorded testimony of blank blank after exposure to SCP-583's recording retrieved during intervention P12, translated from French. Subject was given a hardbound copy of Clash of Kings and was asked to read aloud from anywhere in the book. Subject started reading at page 201. 1, 2. This is blank blank testing the effect of SCP-583. I start reading. A girl was back next. I start reading. A girl was back next. The southwest was barren and burned. He swore he had found the ruins of 2 more cities, and since he had started coughing. Okay, I think it has started. I'll read further. He'll die, you'll see. Back to the text. One was walled by a ring of skulls mounted on rusted iron spears, so he dared not to enter, but he had explored the second for as long as he could before his throat began to ache. He showed Danny an iron bracelet he had found, set with a uncut fire opal the size of her thumb. She was sick too, and the idea of the princess being ill like he was comforted him a little. There were scrolls as well, but they were dry and crumbling, and Ago had left them where they lay. He took a rest in his tent, praying a good night to his Targaryen mistress, and died the same night. Let's give it a few pages now, till Danny dies too. Hear this. Here I stand. Look, if this is your pleasure, but first tell me your names. And then she fell. I need a book with a lot of characters in it, I guess. Okay, so now I read this Caramba joke, a French brand of candy bar which contains a low quality jokes on the inside of its wrapper. So you can see it works with anything. Why did the chicken cross the road? Who cares? Halfway across the road, it fell over and choked and died. What? That's dark. It's dark, but like so basically. Okay, I get it now. I'm sorry. I was a bit confused at first, but okay, so whoever watches the tape, doesn't matter what they look at and read, anything that they watch, the character fucking dies. Class these persons are exposed to SCP-583 are to be placed into psychological studies to examine the long-term psychological effects of exposure to SCP-583. The standard termination schedule for these subjects may be waived with authorization from Dr. Blank. I gotta say, just because of the last part, that was fucking hilarious. That it's just like, who cares? It's halfway across the road and died. That's the part that sold me on this SCP. I will be honest with you. That's the part that's definitely sold me on this one. It's messed up. It's messed up, but it's hilarious. We have a lot of shorter ones today, huh? I'm already like almost halfway through. Many fingers, many toes. Euclid. Viral samples of SCP-584 are to be kept in cold storage in accordance with established biohazard protocols, and access is restricted to personnel of at least level 2 clearance. Research requires level 3 approval. Subjects accidentally contaminated with SCP-584 must be quarantined immediately as contact biohazards and must submit to involuntary antiviral treatment. If subject shows no sign of lesion activity for 12 weeks and tests negative in 2 consecutive biopsies performed at 6 and 12 weeks following exposure, quarantine procedures can be downgraded. Follow-up biopsies at 12 and 24 months must also return negative results before the subject is to be considered clean. 24 months, that's 2 years. Damn. Any subject with a positive test for SCP-584 displaying characteristics lesions should be terminated. No mercy, eh? No mercy. Just gone. Out. You're dead. SCP-584 is a highly infectious viral pathogen that, if left untreated, causes a disfiguring overgrowth of supernumerary limbs. See file photo. There's no file photos here. Structurally similar. That's always weird to me that when they say see this, see that, I'm like, it's not here. How am I supposed to see if there's nothing here? Structurally similar to the herpes simplex family of viruses, SCP-584 spreads via direct person-to-person contact and through contact with infected body fluids, and can also cross the placental barrier from an infected mother to her fetus, resulting in characteristic birth defects. SCP-584 typically lies dormant deep in the dermal tissue of those infected, largely suppressed by the immune system except for sporadic outbreaks. It is estimated that upwards of 80% of those exposed to the virus are asymptomatic carriers, making actual infection rates unknowable. Current estimates place the highest rate of infection in Asia, particularly in India and China, where the virus likely originated. The virus appears limited to humans. Don't you guys even dare say it. I know what you guys are thinking. Don't even fucking say it. An outbreak of SCP-584 typically begins with the appearance of a smaller than bigger than 2 centimeters painless. Painless lesion, most commonly on the extremities. Often these lesions appear similar to warts or skin tags. If not removed, the lesions will quickly grow to resemble a fully functional, though often undersized, appendage. Often the appendage will be appropriate to the limb on which the lesion appeared. An example: extra toes on a foot, extra hands on a arm, etc. But severe outbreaks can trigger severely disfiguring chaotic lesions formation elsewhere on the body, such as the head and torso. Lesions can can appear singly or in groups. Notably, SCP-584 has been shown to be able to regenerate missing limbs or digits in subjects who lost them due to accidents or congenital non-genetic defects. These replacements appendages are full size and full functional. It's believed that SCP-584 functions by activating regenerative biological processes that normally cease shortly after embryonic formation. However, SCP-584's effect seems restricted to external organs and appendages only. Antiviral treatment is quite effective at limiting and stopping outbreaks of SCP-584, but currently there is no cure for the virus, and it is highly communicable. Okay. Drug therapy has even been found to stop the growth of lesions in advanced development stages. However, it is not effective once the appendage is fully formed. Surgical removal of lesions is only effective in the long term if coupled with drug therapy, as scar sites are prone to developing recurrent lesions. SCP-584 infection is in unborn babies, especially if contracted during the first trimester, has resulted in high rates of polyemia, extra limbs, polydactyly, extra fingers, and parasitic twinning. Oh, wow. Oh, damn. Wait, for new users, what is this? Ah, I see. I don't need that. I'm not new anymore. Been on this for a while. That is very uncomfortable. If you think it's just the idea, like I don't know, just all these people with like extra appendages, limbs, heads, and all that stuff. Freaky. I don't like it. I don't like it's a good SCP, but I don't like the image that's in my head. Just like imagine you sleep. You just sleep casually. And then one morning you see this little wart on your, like right here by your wrist. And you're like, I hope it goes away soon. Then you sleep again. And then the next thing you know, you see this like small little mini hand coming out of your arm. And you're like, that's not normal. This is not supposed to happen. And then it grows and grows, and then you have two hands just like right here. Of course, both of them are right-handed, but like just like no, thank you. Don't need that. This one is sharpness, and we have a save. This again, okay. SCP-585-2-4 are to be kept in a standard hazardous object containment at Site 19. Pencils modified by SCP-585 are extremely dangerous and should be returned to the normal state at the end of testing. As of Incident 585-1, no pencil should be sharpened for more than 50 rotations without or 5-level approval. Is this the pencil that John Wick used? He killed 3 men with a pencil. SCP-585-A is stored in a glass vacuum flask, which is locked in a storage vault blank. Special authorization by Dr. Blank or any senior Foundation staff is required for experiments involving SCP-585-A. Description: -2-4 are similar to a small 2-hole pencil sharpeners made of brightly colored plastic. The factory is printed. Which factory are we talking about? The Wondertainment factory? Actually, no, isn't there also just a factory in the SCP universe? There's so many different people to keep in mind. It's printed in slightly raised text on the underside. Any pencil inserted into the small hole of SCP-585 and turned clockwise will be sharpened, as is normal for a pencil sharpener. However, with each rotation, the sharpness of the pencil point continues to increase without any apparent limit. Any pencil sharpened by SCP-585's small hole that is then inserted into a large hole and turned counterclockwise is unsharpened, with each rotation undoing the effect of one previous rotation in the small hole. Only the shape of the pencil is changed. Lost mass from shaving is now restored. The tip of affected pencils can be broken off, but the point will its sharpness and remains dangerous. So sharp it hurts just looking at it. Preliminary testing indicates that never sharpened flat pencils reach the normal maximum sharpness a sharpener can achieve after 20 rotations. From this point on, SCP-585 will shave exponentially less mass off of the pencil with each rotation. At 30 rotation, a pencil drops from 1 meter embedded itself by 10 centimeters into the solid steel. In the solid steel bar, you said. Wow. Now that's sharp. Now that's... You can't even write a test for that shit. You'll try to write a test, all the paper like gets destroyed. And you just look at it like, now what? SCP-585 works best on thin cylinders of wood trolled with graphite. SCP-585 will also function with other easily shapeable materials such as plastic or paper core with graphite, or with a pure graphite stick. Pure wood or plastic does not produce the effects, nor does any material that cannot be shaved by an ordinary pencil sharpener. SCP-585-1-4 were recovered from an elementary school in blank after data. Did some kid like fucking throw a pencil at somebody and it just... Incident 1. A standard HB pencil never used was chosen for extended testing of -1. Pencil is now designated -A. After 20 clockwise rotation in the small hole of SCP-585, -A was applied to a sheet of paper functioned as a normal pencil. After 30 rotations, -A was confirmed capable of piercing steel. A sheet of paper was sliced in half by the point. After 40 rotation, -A was attached to a string and dropped from 1 meter height onto bedrock. -A penetrated 0.5 meters. Meters. That's 50 centimeters, dude. After 50 rotations, the same test as above was performed. SCP-585-A penetrated 5 meters of bedrock. After 60 rotations, penetrated 50 meters of bedrock. Testing continued until exactly 100 rotations. -A tip began with radiating extreme heat, causing its wood component to burst into flames. Further testing on the graphite core data expunged. The item was deemed to have a risk to keep, considering that another could be easily created, and -A was inserted into a large hole of -1. The extreme heat caused -1 to melt. -A placed into a vacuum flask for storage. The fact that it peels bedrock too, like the most like known thing to be like so tough that like nothing, not a lot of things can destroy bedrock. It's very tough to get through. So the fact that a pencil sharpened by this thing actually managed to get through is pretty impressive. It's also very dangerous, but man, can you imagine you do like the, hey, can you pass me a pencil, and you throw one and sharpen by this thing, your hand's gone. It's just gonna be like, you're gonna try to catch it and you accidentally hit the tip of the pencil on your thumb. The thumb just like it just falls off, and you're like so yeah, no, that Also, like, it's so extra. It can cut through steel. It can insert itself into bedrock. Like, what madman was like, I want a pencil so sharp that I cannot use it for writing at all. Because if I were to try, if you rotate it like 60 times, so it goes through 50 meters of bedrock, and you try to write anything, you try to write on a piece of paper, that paper, first of all, will be sliced, and the table underneath it will fucking be sliced in half as well. Inscribable object is the next one. Okay. Hey, whoa, this is a high rating. Scarf. I was ready to say safe, but then I read it carefully. It says scarf, and I was like, oh. SCP-586 is assigned a storage container in Salty 4. Key may be key may be obtained from the main office with presentation from Dr. Blank. No further secretary is deemed necessary for the object. Description: SCP-586 is a smelt metallic object, pale green in color. The anomalous profession of the object was discovered by accident. If any sentence written about the object, at least one typist will be created. Specifically, one or more words will be replaced by an incorrect word. Okay, I'm getting spammed here. I'm going to quickly check. Okay. A bit confused, but let's just go on. Lab report 586A. In this test, the portion of this sentence data plunged. Not expunged, plunged. Now that's a different thing. Also, I just realized I'm a bit... That's better, right? That's better. Data plunged. Lab report 586B. A test to determine if SCP-586 has an effective range... has an effective range or range has turned up the following results. AD personnel was seated 1 meter from the object and gasped to write the controlled phrase, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." A second D personnel located in data expunge was presented with a phonograph of the object and asked to describe it in a sentence. Result 1, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Result 2, it looks like a piece of God knows. Okay. Bit confused. Lab report 586C. 10 detailed personnel were asked to transcribe the short phrase, "It is." All were successful. Same personnel were then shown the object and asked to describe it using the phrase they had earlier transcribed. Result: it is, this, if is, Illinois, I his, titties, ibis, iris, Italy, okay, so it looks like, okay, everybody, even though it's obvious what it's supposed to be, what the word's supposed to be, people just it just gets replaced. Clever. Clever. That's why it says scarf. That's why it probably says salty and it plunged and all these words that don't make sense because this person got affected by it and he's writing stuff down wrong. And instead of range, it's Ray. That is big brain. That is clever. I like you. That is good. That is good. That is just good. Not only do you learn what the SCP does, it actually affects how this is written down. That is good. Lab report 586D. Native speakers of Swahili, Japanese, Gelatin, and Arabic were asked to describe the device in the native language. Each description contained at least one word in the respective language that was not what the person had intended to write. And then for the last time, this is basically if autocorrect, like, you know how sometimes you either you don't have autocorrect on and you write something and you don't know how to write it. But I think no, this is if autocorrect was on in your brain and you want to write something and it's like you want to say this and you're like yeah, and then you click on it and it's completely wrong. So instead of like fuck, it says duck. That's what this is. This is autocorrect the SCP. The last time, if you turn in a report with dozen misspellings, my orifice is too close to F586 will not be accepted as an excuse. There's no bleed effect as evidenced by LR586B. Unless you are writing about the object itself, you will not be affected. The next person to blame this thing because they are too lazy to proofread will be assigned to kill duty. Dr. Blank. I mean, you should steal yourself, brother. You should steal yourself. This is good. This honestly probably one of my favorites so far in the 570s. 80s, excuse me. This one is my favorite so far. That is good stuff. I like that. I like what they did with this. Man, this is gonna be a short read. I'm gonna be done almost in an hour. which actually, kind of is nice. Having a bit of a less bigger read, but in the same time, 2 hours is what I'm used to. So, oh well. This one is called A Model System. It's a safe one. An isolation room in Sector 28 houses. Actually, let me double check. 28 houses SB587. Entry is barred without authorization from the project lead, and the interior is kept sterile. Climate controls must be maintained to stimulate seasonally suitable weather, including precipitation when appropriate. Surveillance by digital recording devices is continuous. Inside the isolation room, great care must be taken not to physically disturb SCP-587 in any way, unless as part of an experiment. Level 1 isolation equipment is required. All interactions with the model and its residents must be cleared with researchers overseeing the mass psychological project. Description: SCP-587 is an HO scale 187 model railroad diorama with dimensions 21.3 times 36.5 meters. The handcrafted scenery depicts forested hills interspersed with buildings, a railroad, and other models which constitute the fictional township of Red Elk, Colorado. Each model is fully functional. Plumbing and electrical power work can power cars run on gasoline, etc. The town is populated by 1,270 living individuals identical to human beings other than the 19.5 millimeter height average. That reminds me of Love, Death, and Robots. Where in Love, Death, and Robots, where there's they open the fridge and they see humanity just happening, but they're very tiny. And not only do they see humanity, they also see you see the past and the present, they also see the future. And this reminds me of that. But of course, this is a whole different thing. It's but it just reminds me of it. Physical laws in the vicinity of SCP-587 seem to be altered sufficiently that anticipated ramifications of squared-cubed relationships are not observed. The artifact is meticulously detailed from superficial features like license plate numbers and legible with magnification newspapers to material composition such as the geology of the landscape and organ arrangement in vivisected inhabitants. The residents can be observed behaving as though in normal town and seem to have no idea about the unusual nature of their existence. Note: after blank years of foundation, custody, and experimentation, some residents are becoming suspicious that something's not right. Dr. Blank. They might realize they're being watched. A resident of SCP-587 remains oblivious to foreign objects unless they make contact with the diorama's surface. Items that... Is this Holden Hears a Who? Is this what it is? They live their life. They don't think anything's wrong until they finally realize, oh, hey, there's a whole group of giants out there that can hear us, see us. Items that do contact the surface are perceivable by inhabitants and often excite interest or confusion. Thus, a camera placed centimeters from the town center has gone unnoticed for years, while the momentary presence of an insect within view of inhabitants could be a major disruption and has been on several occasions. Yeah, but an insect landing on their town must be like a kaiju attack. It's Godzilla! It's just a grasshopper. Oh my god, an actual lizard would probably be a Godzilla for them though. Other disturbances caused by negligent attention to containment protocols include numerous earthquakes caused by jostling or impacting the model, climate swings and unexplained eclipses resulting from malfunctions climate control equipment, a burning flood when an assistant spilled hot coffee down Main Street, and strange rains of rope and white flakes, hair and dandruff. Research must now don level 1 isolation where in containment. Yeah, like anything, even like a string of hair landing on their town must be like a elephant tree, just like, you know what I mean? Like, all the way they're they're almost 2 centimeters tall, so A string of hair would just be like a giant rope for them. Yeah, okay, never mind. Level 1, yeah. Careful observation confirms that SCP-587's population is aware of the mysterious phenomena, and a number of beliefs and rationalizations have arisen to explain them. Addendum 1. Following repeated incidents exposing SCP-587's populace to strange occurrences, the project research priorities have been shifted from investigation of the artifact's properties to psychological experimentation with its inhabitants. Future incidents will be carefully designed and introduced to study mass reactions to unexplained and threatening events. Response to mysterious appearances and disappearances, access denied. Response to persistent unexplainable predation, access denied. Mass psychological and religious cataclysm, access denied. XK events, access denied. Okay. Those poor people. They just want to live their life, and these giants, these fucking humongous beings, constantly are causing something that just, disturbs them. They're like, I just want to be left alone in my average home. But why do I always feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone then? I always feel like somebody's watching me. That's probably how they feel, right? There's no other way. I would feel like that if something always were to happen weirdly at specific times too. A voracious coin, not as safe. This one is a bit it's still the same distance, same length. This is the second last one. we almost finished reading it within an hour, almost. The original copy of SCP-588 is maintained in a minimum security storage locker at Site 19. SCP-588 is contained in a clear plastic box and is fitted with metal restraints. Researchers coming into contact with SCP-588 are required to wear protective gloves. If SCP-588 is removed from containment, absolute attention is to be maintained to ensure that it does not escape. See Incident Report 588-B. Any additional copies of SCP-588 produced during testing are to be subject to temperature in excess of 1,100 degrees Celsius for a minimum of 5 minutes in a Site 19 disposal. Now that's hot. That's hot. SCP-588 is an American 25-cent piece. There we go. Minted in 1972. Analysis of the chemical composition of SCP-588 has confirmed that it is a standard 91.67% to 8.33% alloy of copper and nickel. Okay, so most of it is copper and some of it is nickel. The depiction of American President George Washington on the observed side of the coin displays activity consistent with being alive. Despite being bound to the plane of the coin's face, the head of Washington has a full 180-degree range of horizontal movement and a vertical range of approximately 90 degrees. In addition to movement of the head, SCP-588 is capable of opening and closing Washington's mouth and will attempt to feed ravenously upon any organic material brought within its proximity. No other parts of the face on the observed side has been witnessed displaying movement, including the eyes. That is... Can you imagine a fucking coin trying to eat you? Like, you just look at a coin and it's just like... And you're like... you have to be careful where you pick it up. Because if you pick it up on the side where the head is, like the head side is on your hand, you just go like, and you're like, it's eating into rain. You know what I mean? Like, it's just George Washington, please. SCP-588 has demonstrated the ability to consume up to 1 gram of organic material in a single feeding. That's not a lot. So it's not going like eat through your whole hand. Researchers have snapped several specimens of SCP-588, revealing a minuscule air pocket in the area of Washington's neck, which appears to serve as a pseudo-stomach. Analysis of the composition of SCP-588 has revealed no organic structural components. However, trace amounts of digestive enzymes have been isolated from the pseudo-stomach, including blank, blank, and blank. Between 30 minutes and 1 hour following feeding, specimens of SCP-588 will secrete a clear and sticky substance from the base of the reverse side. Laboratory analysis have confirmed that it is digestive remains of any organic material the specimen has fed upon. It poops. That is important to note. It poops. Copies of SCP-588 have the... Oh, wait. Okay, I have the capability of limited deflection of the coin of up to 2 millimeters. In this manner, specimens of SCP-588 are able to move rapidly across flat surfaces using rhythmic contraction in the manner of a slug. When approaching a food source, specimens alter their movement pattern to short, upright hops on the base edge of the coin. All activity appears to be motivated by the desire to feed and reproduce. I don't know, something about a bunch of coins just like ding, 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 and just running after you. Like, yeah, one eats 1 gram, but what if it's multiple? What if it's 1,000 of them? And each one eats one. They could eat a kilo. 1,000 of these coins could eat a whole kilo. Because 1,000 grams is a kilo, so they could eat potentially a hand off. SCP-588 does not require organic material to survive. All consumption appears to be for the purpose of reproduction. After 3 to 4 feedings, specimens of SCP-588 will begin to thicken. Over the course of several hours, a specimen will increase its thickness by 1.75 millimeters, after which a copy of the specimen will split from the reverse side through binary fission. Remarkably, offspring of SCP-588 will display the year they were born at the base of the observed side, although they are identical to SCP-588 in all other aspects. Regardless of the year of the creation, offspring of SCP-588 are uniformly of the style of quarters from prior to the state quarter program of 1999. Well, that makes it easy then to recognize which one of them is an SCP. Then if they changed then how the 25 cents looked like. SCP-588 has displayed rudimentary cognitive ability. Copies of SCP-588 will often lay face up on surfaces with the observed face in the standard half-profile position, mimicking standard quarters. If a human being touches the specimen, it will attempt to bite their fingers and flee rapidly. Multiple copies of SCP-588 tend to gather in large groups and will coordinate feeding attacks if followed. See incident report 588. That's what I'm saying, dude. You gotta be careful how you pick it up. And then these things fucking... The idea of them I don't know, being on a balcony, just waiting for you to pass, and they all just drop down this wave of coins, just drop on you. But they bite into your skin, they hold on tight, and just rip 1 gram of skin off individually. And then the next thing you know, you're missing a whole kilo of skin or flesh or hair. I'm not sure what they eat. I'm not sure if they eat hair. Probably just skin and flesh and muscles and all that. Incident 588-B on blank blank 2002. Junior researcher Dr. Blank reported to a senior staff member that while transporting SCP-588 from its containment locker to a testing room, it slipped out of the box and scuttled away. The unfortunate containment breach of SCP Blank at approximately the same time and the resulting death of Dr. Blank led to the incident not being logged. 5 months later, on blank blank 2000 blank, janitorial staff member blank blank came into contact with a colony of over 400 individual copies of SCP-588 living off detritus behind the shelves in storage pantry B10. Blank Blank was discovered unconscious by his coworker 2 hours later and was treated for several thousand minute bites on his limbs and body. All escaped instances of SCP-588 are believed to have been retrieved and destroyed, but any Site-19 staff members finding those loose changes in unlikely places are to report to an on-site security officer immediately. That is so scary. That is so scary, dude. It's a coin, but it's the scariest coin ever. It's scarier than Two-Face coin, because Two-Face coin is already, it's like double-sided, right? It's like both sides are the same thing. So at the end, whatever side it lands doesn't matter. It just helps him a little bit. So once you figure that out, like that they're both, I believe they're both heads. Then they're like, do we even have a win in this? But yeah, no, like this. Just imagine getting fucking ambushed by a wave of coins, and they all just bite you. Ugh. That is messed up. That's scary. We're already by the last one. Okay. Oh, it has the lowest rating. It's a keto. The price of obsession. SCP-589 must be contained within a sealed, reinforced container that is welded shut. Under no circumstances is SCP-589 to be removed from its container, physically contacted, or even seen. SCP-589 and its container must sit on a scale so that it might be continually weighed to confirm SCP-589's presence. SCP-589 containment cell may only be accessed by Level 4 personnel. It must be guarded by at least 2 Level 4 security personnel with 24-hour surveillance. Under no circumstances is SCP-589 allowed to leave its containment cell. Any personnel attempting unauthorized entry or removal of SCP-589 will be terminated. Should containment be breached, then the entire sector SCP-589 is held in must be immediately purged via demolition charges or incendiary devices. Any personnel assigned to the sector that managed to escape must be questioned and then immediately detained for psychological screening. In the event that SCP-589 must be handled without the protection of the container, the only personnel authorized to handle SCP-589 must be cleared by Foundation psychologists and must have a psionic resistance index of 30 or higher. Once the task is complete, all personnel that have handled SCP-589 must submit to a mandatory psychological screening. What is this thing? It just says the price of obsession, but what is it? Description: SCP-589 is a stuffed animal that is able to change its appearance based on a stuffed animal. The change on the appearance based on the subjective desire of the first person to come in contact with it. SCP-589 has the ability to create a calming, soothing sensation within anybody who sees or comes into physical contact with it. This ability appears to be mimetic, as it is able to spread via copies of itself as well as pictures depicting its likeness. However, the effectiveness of these copies is directly proportional to the quality of the product. The calming effect SCP-589 imparts is not unlike the use of narcotics, as it stimulates the areas of the brain that are responsible for feelings of relief and euphoria, and encourages the production of chemicals and hormones that reduce stress. However, this effect quickly becomes addictive, with infected individuals becoming completely dependent on SCP-589 after extended exposure. Once addicted, an individual's interaction with SCP-589 or any of its copies borders on complete obsession, and they are compelled to create more copies of SCP-589 and attempt to spread them. So yeah, this is basically if you had a teddy bear as a child, and you become a teenager, and you still have the same teddy bear, and then you become a young adult, and you still have the same teddy bear. At the end, I mean, like, there's so many new hobbies out there. Like, having a bunch of plush toys is not that weird anymore. Like, there's some girls and even some boys that just feel comfortable having plushies around. It just gives them comfort. But I can see that this is like a reference to, like, some people just don't let go of the childhood toys because it just gives them comfort, right? But here we go. It has more. However, what makes SCP-589 dangerous are its after effects. There we go. Of course, it can't just be like, oh, you make me feel good. No, it has, and of course, the obsession part is also a problem because it will try to spread its effect around, right? After a certain period of time, SCP-589 will immediately vanish. Oh, what a fucking dick move! Oh, you like me? You like me? You like me? Peace. Absolute dick move. SCP-589, any of its physical copies and all versions of it in printed and electronic media will completely disappear. This sudden and massive disappearance of SCP-589 will result in catastrophic consequences for those infected by SCP-589. Without SCP-589 to keep them passive and calm, infected individuals will immediately suffer a variety of severe withdrawal symptoms, including but not limited to manic depression, psychosis, heightened aggressions, uncontrollable despair, dementia, mania, paranoia, and various other behavioral disorders. It is not known how or why SCP-589 does this, though there is speculation that SCP-589 feeds off of the mental anguish it causes to those completely obsessed with it. Once the process is complete, SCP-589 will reappear in another random location and repeat the cycle. Wow, well, this thing is a dick. This is a toxic relationship if I've ever seen one. This guy literally makes you feel like you can't live without me. I'm the one that keeps you safe, that keeps you happy. This is the most toxic thing any person in a relationship can say to you is you're nothing without me. You can't live without me. I'm the reason why you live. I'm the reason why you are happy. If anybody says that to you, just be careful, okay? Handle it carefully. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your relationships, because I'm just a guy. But I will tell you right now, if anybody tells that to your face, that's a red flag. That's dangerous. They might go extreme lengths to prove that to you, and you might not be happy. You might be stuck with it and realize on how unhappy you will be at that point. But then you're stuck with it. So just as I said, handle it with care, and you know, again, if you don't want to leave the relationship, that's up to you. I'm not going to change your mind. SCP-589 was tracked down and contained after the Foundation received a string of mysterious reports of villages and towns in rural areas being found with the entire populations dead and apparently having slaughtered each other in a massive and violent riot. Yeah, they all want my teddy bear. The Foundation began tracking these incidents but could not determine their cause until Dr. Blank discovered a pattern in the targeted areas. Using the data Dr. Blank provided, the Foundation managed to intercept and contain SCP-589 through several personnel. Though several personnel had to undergo rigorous psychological treatment to counter the effects of SCP-589. Currently, SCP-589 has not attempted to leave its containment area, which has led researchers into hypothesize that SCP-589 follows a very specific life cycle pattern. Infection pattern. After various experiments on test groups consisting of D-class personnel, SCP-589 appears to be solely targeted at individuals with severe insecurities or those suffering from high amounts of stress. Infection rates on subjects whose psychological profiles suggest that they were susceptible to high amounts of stress or low self-esteem showed a 90% infection rate, while subjects with little to no stress and high self-esteem only suffered from a 12% infection rate. This confirms Dr. Blank's initial hypothesis that SCP-589 targets areas with high numbers of people that are easy for it to infect. This SCP would be very dangerous in countries with high suicide rates, or like any country that has a lot of. Japan would probably be one of them. Because the bureaucracy in Japan is so crazy that so many people just get stressed out and end up being depressed. Some people can handle it well. Some people just like, this is how it is, and can live with it. Can live with it, but a lot of people can't. Yeah, so Japan is probably one of the countries that this SCP would cause a lot of destruction. Sentience hypothesis. It is a real possibility that SCP-589 may in fact be a sentient creature rather than an inanimate object. Study of SCP-589 movement patterns correlate with data about its infection pattern suggests that SCP-589 deliberately controls where it appears at the beginning of every cycle. However, we need more data and experiments in order to confirm this. An administrative note: due to catastrophic loss of containment during experiment 589-5, resulting in incident 58940, SCP-589 is to be permanently kept in a secure container. Any request to remove SCP-589 requires O5 level clearance. O5 blank. Whoo! This was very short read, but it was definitely good stuff. It was definitely good stuff. There we go. I have it here. This is the order of which one I enjoyed the most. It's honestly, the Pride of Obsession is just it. The fact that it does that to people is just crazy to me. Like that, it is taking like a childhood or nostalgic feeling, something an object that you can feel safe with, right? An object that you have a comfort zone with, or comfort level, and it takes that, and that thing knows. That thing is like, yes, I know you love me. I know you like me. But guess what? I'm gone now. Peace. Here. And yeah, it's not cool. It's not a cool thing to do. In the Scrabble object, I really liked how they did that with the text. That like they wanted to write a normal report, but there were clearly grammar mistakes and wrong words used. And then I only then realized like that's what it does. That's what it meant to do. Every time this thing just makes you write wrong. This is especially in the era of texting. This can be dangerous. A voracious coin. The idea of hundreds of coins chasing after you because they want to take a bite out of you just so they can reproduce, and then become 200s, 300, 400, 500, 600, 1,000. You know, that is. Not only that, but as I said, they eat a gram, right? But once there is 1,000 of them, that's 1 kilo. That's a whole hand's worth, maybe even more. Who knows? I'm not sure how heavy my hand is. It's probably not even a kilo. It's probably like this might be a kilo, maybe more, a little bit more, but who knows? Definitely videotape. I think it's hilarious. I thought the end part was fucking hilarious. The whole like, why did the chicken cross the road? Who cares? It died. I really like that. I think that's very. It's also an interesting effect, right? It's just like it just makes you see every sort of media is the person will die. My question is though, if they only see it, right? It doesn't actually happen. So like for the Sesame Street thing, it doesn't. They actually didn't. The actors are still fine, right? It didn't actually kill the actors. It just infects the subjects that watch the videotape. I assume it didn't say anything about that. Sharpeners. I mean, come on. A pencil sharp enough to go through bedrock. That just sounds like a Borderlands weapon. And I think that's fucking hilarious. Many fingers, many toes is just the image of appendages and limbs and all that growing out of you is freaky. It's nasty, but it's cool. The equestrian soul, yeah, no, I think it's just very cute how this horse was just then stand on 2 legs and be like, oh yes, I can drive a car, but of course they can because hoofs. But yeah, no, I think that one was just it's a good start, to be honest. A good start for Well, I mean, it's not the first one. It's not, but it's the second one. It's a good start for the 580s. A bundle of stories. It is creative. It is very creative that like whatever is written in it will become reality, and then we actually got to see some of the examples, and I think it's a very cool concept of a reality bending SCP. But I do wish we had some. There was the coffee machine and the guy who teleports to different realities, right? Those are two SCPs that got like a whole list of things that you can input or where they went. I kind of wish that was the case with a bundle of stories, that you have just a whole like a list of like maybe like just 30 things that were written inside of it, just to see like just to make us realize like, oh shit, that's permanent now. That's always there. A model system, it gives me like very much like Horton Hears a Who vibes. It's just like this civilization living by themselves, and they realize like some shit's happening, but they have no idea why or how. And that's because the Foundation just keeps. This is not one of these SCPs that the Foundation should just stop testing with, right? Because those things don't. That civilization doesn't do anything. They're not harming anybody. They're just living their life, and the Foundation scientists are just like poking them all the time. Xi Huang's T5 Heaven's Chariot, yeah. A zeppelin that appears out of nowhere when you pass the moon. Yeah, it's cool, but I do feel like for something that the Foundation thought was Keter, it should be like a zeppelin with like 1,000 terracotta soldiers, you know, and then maybe like one of them actually did get pissed off, and then you find out like, oh, they actually managed to fight off an army from a modern army much better than the modern army fought against them. You know what I mean? Like they could have written something down, like as in like they, even though they are an old school army and they're terracotta soldiers, they still managed to actually destroy like, I don't know, like something like 80% of the modern military, something like that, just to like really drive home how dangerous this could be if anybody pisses them off. But it's only 40 of them, and the only part that makes it like a bit tricky is that it just appears in places, you know. So yeah, but that's how I view this 580s, and I hope you guys enjoyed this stream and this reading. It was a lot of fun. It's definitely shorter than the usual SCP reading. I'm burping a lot. Excuse me. And as I said, tomorrow there's no stream happening. I'm not gonna have time for that. I'll see you guys for the next stream next weekend on Saturday again. And the last thing I have to say is enjoy your day, enjoy your night, enjoy your morning, enjoy your evening, and the Afro is with you.